Hello, welcome to the CEC's weekly update. I'm Robert Barwick. It's September 24th. Today I want to talk about two things. First, an update on the Dick Smith-Craig Isherwood debate and our announcement of the winner of our Dick Smith competition. And secondly, how the Australian government set up first home buyers. So firstly, the Dick Smith debate. Let me first announce we have a winner for our Dick Smith bumper sticker competition. The winner is Paul Harry of Toowoomba, Queensland. And Paul's entry was Overpopulation, Dick's Myth. So congratulations, Paul. Paul has been sent his $1,000 prize, half of which, as you probably know, was put up by Dick Smith himself. So thanks for that, Dick. Your money's been put to good use. However, if you go to our website, you'll see the Dick Smith-Craig Isherwood correspondence. That correspondence began when Craig challenged Dick to a debate on the question of overpopulation, a challenge which Dick has repeatedly ducked. It turns out, though, that the ongoing correspondence about that has become the debate itself. And so if you read the correspondence, you'll see the debate unfold. In the latest part of that correspondence, Dick responded to an email from Craig after he'd gone to ground for a few days, where Craig had said, "Dick, did someone make you shut up?" And in response, Dick Smith called Craig Isherwood a chicken and said that he hadn't replied previously because Craig hadn't answered his question about whether Australia should have 100 billion or 200 billion or even 1 trillion people. Now, if you read the correspondence, Craig had replied, but so Craig replied again and pointed out that it would be the year 2568 before we had 100 billion people in Australia, which is so far away as to be ridiculous. But otherwise, if the population of the world was on the trajectory it should be, by the time we're anywhere near that, we'd be well and truly colonising other planets around the solar system and potentially other galaxies by then. Anyway, in Craig's reply, he did suggest to Dick that because of our knowledge of this subject and because of our expertise in these questions of science and physical economy, that it might be better if, before there was any kind of public debate, we met privately with Dick Smith to discuss it through over coffee, so we can show him the detailed perspective we have on this. In reply to that suggestion, that offer by Craig, Dick came out and said, "Craig, I knew you'd chicken out." And that's the last thing Craig did. But that's what Dick said, "I knew you'd chicken out." And he said, "It would be better if we didn't have any kind of discussion or debate for this reason," according to Dick. And the reason was 90% of the Australian people agree with him that we need to have a plan to solve the population crisis in Australia. 90%, and for that reason he doesn't think it's a good idea to talk or discuss publicly or privately with Craig Isherwood. So what I want to do, just briefly, is read Craig's reply to that accusation by Dick Smith that he is chicken. "Dear Dick, you are truly hilarious. As a precondition for a public debate, you had insistently demanded from me an answer to the absurd question of whether I think Australia were better off with 100 billion, 200 billion, or perhaps 1 trillion people. And what happened? I not only answered your question twice, but also put forward a number of crucial issues which must be addressed for any competent discussion regarding population issues. These included: 1, the scientific reality, in ascending order, of the demonstrable power of the lithosphere, the biosphere, and the noosphere, with the profound implications of that reality for the human race. 2, the necessity to pull the world out of a financial economic crisis already worse than that of the Great Depression of the 1930s by implementing the North American Water and Power Alliance program in the United States and similar great infrastructure programs worldwide, including in Australia. And 3, the tremendously exciting and urgently necessary prospect of colonising other planets starting immediately, and of transforming our biosphere here on Earth in the meantime. And what is your response to these profound matters? Deafening silence. Instead, you come back with what popular opinion allegedly thinks about overpopulation. Did popular opinion discover Kepler's universal law of gravitation? Did popular opinion discover Einstein's principle of the relativity of physical space-time? Did popular opinion discover Beethoven's Ninth Symphony? Did popular opinion ever discover any universal principle of any sort, ever? Since I have answered the question you demanded as preliminary to a public debate, and since you have now turned down my offer to discuss privately with you these profound matters noted above, which I had extended so as not to embarrass you in public in case you had never even considered such crucial matters, which you not only apparently hadn't, but now even refuse to, I now throw down the gauntlet once more. Will you publicly debate me on the issue of overpopulation, Dick, or will you run and hide behind a lot of boobs? In fact, it is a bit unclear why you are launching this campaign in the first place, if, as you claim, 9 out of 10 Australians already agree with you. But with all that mass ostensibly in your corner, surely you're not scared to debate me. Best regards, Craig. So stay tuned. We'll see if there's a response to that, and if there is, we'll update you. All right. My second point today. How the government set up first home buyers. In October 2008, the Rudd government announced that it was increasing the first homeowners grant. The grant had been set at $7,000, and the Rudd government was going to double it to $14,000 for her first home buyers and triple it to $21,000 for first home buyers who bought a new home, a newly constructed home. Now, that announcement was made to explain as for having two purposes. One, to stimulate the construction industry in Australia, hence the new home buyer component, and two, to make housing more affordable. Now, once after that announcement was made, 135,000 mainly young people, young couples, young families, rushed out and signed up to the first home owners grant as a way that they saw they might be able to finally break into the housing market from which they had been locked out. Now, most of those young couples would have known when they signed up to the grant that the houses they were buying weren't becoming more affordable. In fact, they would have started to see after a few months the houses were becoming less affordable, but that $14,000 or $21,000 injection allowed them to put down a deposit, etc. And in their mind, they're finally getting in. And for a lot of them, they would have had to sort of overcome the natural prudence in their mind to think, this is going to be barely affordable, to think, well, the government's telling us this is going to make it affordable, so I'll do it. So 135,000 did that. By February this year, 45% of those were already mortgage stressed. They were already on the edge, thanks to some interest rate rises. Since February, we've had more interest rate rises, so that's probably more than 45% are already on the edge. Now, the price of housing since this announcement has gone up. So the first homeowners grant didn't make it more affordable, it made housing less affordable. Was that an unintended consequence of the policy? No, emphatically no. And what I want to do is highlight a report that's come out in this book. This is a book called Shitstorm. Mind the language, but that's the title. And if you remember, that's what Kevin Rudd famously said on a television broadcast in October 2008. It's by Australian newspaper journalists Lenore Taylor and David Uren, and it's about how the Rudd government handled the GFC, the global financial crisis, which, as we know, is all over, so that's good. But in the book, Shitstorm, in passing, mind you, not in any kind of expose, the authors report something quite interesting. And what they report is that on the weekend of October 11th and 12th, which was the weekend where everyone in the world was in a state of absolute panic, It's the weekend where the banks were begging the government here to bail them out, or else they would be, quote, insolvent sooner rather than later. Read our website for that quote. On that same weekend, the sort of like the Razor Gang is the colloquial term for it, or the Strategic Priorities and Budgetary Committee of the Rudd government, which was Kevin Rudd, Julia Gillard, Wayne Swan and Lindsay Tanner, met, and the meeting included the Secretary of the Treasury, Ken Henry, and included the Governor of the Reserve Bank, Glenn Stevens, and they discussed the emergency action they would take to keep the Australian economy going in the face of the GFC. And in that discussion, one of the things they decided to do was to act to prop up the property market, to support the market. They wanted to act in such a way that they could stop house prices from falling and get them to rise again. And what did they decide to do? What did they decide to do that? Increase the first home buyers grant. So in other words, when they decided to increase this grant, at no time were they thinking of making houses more affordable. They were thinking all along to make them less affordable, to make them more expensive. Page 79 of this book, the author's report. Treasury's analysis had shown that, far from helping first home buyers get into the market, most of the benefit, and this is of the existing grant, went to the people selling them their first homes, as the additional few $1,000s was added to the price. Quote, one of the risks in the Australian economy, and we saw it playing out in the US and elsewhere, was the risk of house prices falling sharply. One of our concerns about the option of the first home buyer scheme is that it gets house prices up, and that was the point. In that week, we found ourselves quite comfortable with it for that reason. You're in a situation where bidding up house prices is not a negative, Ken Henry is quoted as saying in this book. So all those people who rushed out to sign up to the first homeowners grant to get more affordable housing that are now mortgage stressed, probably over half at least of that 135,000. What you need to know is you are feeling mortgage stressed because you are carrying the weight of the Australian financial system on your back. It is on your blood, sweat and tears that the Australian government is bailing out the bankrupt banks. At the time, we had put up the Homeowners and Bank Protection Bill 2007. It was ready to go. That bill would have kept our banking system functional and saved families. Instead of doing that, the Rudd government, using a behavioural economics manipulation where they create a market mechanism to suck people into doing something that can have an economic objective, decided to take advantage of people to prop the banking system up. And that's what we've been paying for ever since. It's only short term. Already the banks are in a crisis again about how long they've got to last. Globally, there's a total malaise in the financial markets, total panic, as the only thing they're hanging on by is the promise by the federal government, or by the US Federal Reserve, of more money printing called quantitative easing 2. Here in Australia, the banks have been caught out going out of their way, loudly protesting against anyone who claims there's a property bubble, and the banks are loudly insisting there is no property bubble because they know that if the property bubble that there is there does burst, the banks would go with it, and that means they're not long for this world under this current system. The government knew that all along. That could have been solved with the Homeowners and Bank Protection Bill, and instead of doing that, they decided to throw thousands of Australian families under a bus. So if you're one of them, that's what's happened to you. What it does underscore is all along people should have listened to Lyndon LaRouche. And on that note, let me conclude by saying tomorrow, September 25th, LaRouche will be giving a webcast. That's September 25th Australian time. By the time you're watching this, it'll already be archived on our website and on the LaRouche Pack website. Watch that webcast where LaRouche will lay out the steps the world has to take urgently if we are finally going to solve this global economic crisis. So thanks for watching. Tune in next week for more developments.